comes again.
Oh my goodness, our final week of the Comeback Season Summit. Although it is not too late to register, it is a bittersweet because this has been one of the most incredible summits I have ever ran, and the experts in this are incredible. And today we are going to chat with more of them, of course. But let me first start off by telling you a little bit about the Comeback Season. The Comeback Season podcast started a year ago, actually. We're just coming up to our 1 year mark. And it was when myself and my co-host were going through some tough times and wanted to start a platform that people could relate to and that all is on the table. We talk about everything, any area in life that's tripping you up. And of course, there's a lot to do with fitness and health and nutrition because both Christy and I are experts in that area. And out of the Comeback Season podcast came the Comeback Season Summit. And I wanted to create a platform a little bit deeper and provide our listeners with resources, free resources to actually get them started on their journey. So with the Comeback Season Summit, we have 25 incredible experts, and each one of them is giving away something of value, $75. Most people actually are over $100 value. So if you haven't signed up yet, I absolutely recommend. The link is in each one of our bios here that you're seeing this live. Sign up because at the end of the summit, I'm going to release all of the interviews, all of the freebies are going to be available as well. And we have a little competition that we'll be talking about at the end. But first and foremost, today's topic is on energy and motivation, and more so burnout. And each and every one of us at some stage in our life have come face to face with this and understand the importance. So to kick it off, I'm going to bring on Carmen Dunn to start it off. She is an expert in this field. And Carmen, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and how your clients deal with burnout, and more important, what you do for them?
Yeah, so I've been working with women who are burnt out for the past 15 years as a hormone nutritionist. So this is basically my bread and butter. I can talk about this all day long. Right now, I work with women in their 40s navigating these new hormonal changes called perimenopause. So when it comes to like exhaustion that women are feeling and lack of motivation, you said, because that's a big one where women wake up and they're like not motivated to start the day, I think like when we talk about exhaustion, it's important to mention that we're not just talking about like a little bit of normal tired. We're talking about exhaustion where you wake up and you already feel like you're behind and you're just relying on willpower and caffeine and you're pushing yourself through this fatigue all day. And, in your head, you maybe think, oh, I just have to push a little harder. I just need better habits, but it's not a discipline thing. Like when we come into our beautiful 40s and when we're shifting into our early 50s, we're going through a physiology shift. It's not about discipline. When our hormones, estrogen and progesterone, start doing their little dance, it changes how our brain produces and regulates our energy, our ability to focus. We know focus tanks for women in the 40s, and a lot of women are diagnosed with ADHD for the first time, and it really tests our emotional resilience. So I think a lot of women go through this cycle of they push themselves really hard and then they crash and then they recover. And then there's like this guilt feeling like I should be able to do this. I could do it in my 30s. I was fine at 38. Why at 45 can I not hustle the same way I used to? So they start pushing themselves hard again. And then guess what? They burn out again. And, there's just more burnout, more brain fog, more irritability, which leads to this feeling of, I don't feel like myself anymore. I've lost myself. So all it means is that your system in your 40s needs a different kind of support than it used to. And this is where nutrition is really powerful, because things like blood sugar regulation, your cortisol patterns, your sleep quality, inflammation, your insulin levels, these are the things that actually drive up to 50 to 70% of perimenopausal symptoms. It's not just estrogen, right? So, and these are things that we can fix with our fork, which I love to tell people all the time. So when you learn how to eat to start balancing your blood sugar, you're going to have energy for the next 3 hours, because we should be able to get from meal to meal without crashing. So what you eat at lunch is going to depict how your energy is going to be until 5 p.m., right? So when you start supporting your cortisol patterns and your sleep quality and getting the inflammation down and learning how to get your insulin levels down and regulating your blood sugar, that's when you start to wake up refreshed in the morning and you feel calm and you're at peace and you're excited to start your day. You don't have that anxiety or panic, that fear of like, oh crap, I'm already behind. No, you're just calm and you go on with your day. And when the stressors hit, they just slide off you like Teflon, which is how I like to describe it. Because when you're feeling good in your body and you know how to balance your hormones, you know exactly what to do for your body, those stressors slip off. You can talk yourself through them. You feel more calm. Your mood is more stable. And so this is what I help women do in my new program, Peri Thrive, is to help them feel calm, balance their mood, get them fitting in their pants again, because so many women have these clothes in their outfit that they've had, sorry, not in their outfit, in their closet that they've had for 4 years that don't fit, and they don't want to throw them out. They really hope they can go back and wear them. And I help them do that. We just want to get to a place where you can wake up refreshed, feel calm, think clearly again, be able to sit down at work and actually focus and finish tasks. Yeah. And, be excited and motivated to start your day. So basically with everything I just said, it just comes back to those simple things I said: learning how to eat, balance your blood sugar, getting insulin down. Because when you do that, you restore function. And that's because motivation isn't supposed to feel like a constant fight. It's supposed to feel like capacity again, like you're able to do it.
Very good explanation, Carm. You could talk about that for an hour. I know how many people that you've helped in that field. And it's a tough one because I actually teach people that motivation, you will never think your way into motivation ever. It's actually biological. So there's multiple things working against you here. You have, of course, what you just described, hormones working against you, which is also a biological cellular level, but our brain is not created to motivate you into doing anything. You'll never think your way into wanting to go to the gym and do what's best for you, because it's action that you need to do. But the action is twofold, because yes, it's also biological that your hormones are up and down and you are exhausted. So there are so many variables that go into place with this, but I know other people want to get in. I can tell already. Lisa, I'm going to actually jump into you next. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and how this pertains to your client, my friend?
Well, I love the conversation already because this is exactly what I talk about too, maybe from a more holistic view, because we've already talked about the biology and the psychology. And I also add in the elements of the spirituality as women go through midlife. So my name is Lisa Barwise. I consider myself a wellness alchemist and fitness feminist. And that means that I'm the kick-ass catalyst in the transformation of women over 40 and in midlife to become stronger of mind, body, and character. And I do that through what I used to have as my main business, which was Warrior Goddess Kettlebell Training. I'm in the fitness field too, and have evolved over the last year because I too had one of many burnout moments, being late diagnosed ADHD, as I hit my perimenopause right smack bang in the middle. But also I had my own edge of the bed moment, as I like to call it, where one morning I tried to get out of bed and I just couldn't. My legs gave out from under me. I was so exhausted, the pain in my legs. And I just sat and cried. I was like, I can't push through anymore. I can't make this happen anymore. And this was me as somebody working in women's wellness for nearly 20 years, knowing what I should be doing and being, nutrition educated and all of these things, that the other parts of the stressors just got too much. And with that late diagnosed ADHD, and what I do believe is, CPTSD from everything that we went through COVID to, relationships ending, unresolved grief, unresolved trauma, all of the above just accumulated in what I now have the name and label for during that time, which is what I call armor weight. So it's that subconscious element of why you're not able to lose weight, but also the emotional, energetic, and indeed ancestral reasons why we feel so heavy, so fatigued, so burnt out, and why it becomes so apparent in midlife specifically. And it was at this time that as I went through this process myself, pulling myself out and evolving through and moving through this time that I started to develop, how to work with clients in this way. So people come to me similarly to others when they are burnt out, in pain. They have chronic fatigue, but they don't really know that that's what they have. They're just coming with this sense of, I really don't feel very good. Surely this isn't as hard as it needs to be. Is midlife the end of my life? Who even am I now? All of these questions. And I authored a book at the end of last year, which I've called Unarmored. And it's the concept of releasing and shedding armor weight, but also an identity reawakening that happens through midlife, as well as stepping into the power of becoming the warrior goddess unapologetically. And what I found similarly here is that it is the full fusion of the biology, the psychology, and indeed spirituality elements that we need to look at from a holistic viewpoint as we transition through this midlife. What I like to call it, it's not a crisis, it's a coronation. We're stepping into our power and the reawakening of who we are as our energy shift, as these hormones shift, as the neurotransmitters are reorganized, as our brain is rewiring, as our priorities begin to shift and change, as we start to learn more about ourselves. And, the person that you're looking at in the mirror that you don't know and don't recognize anymore, who is she, and how can we step back into that identity through this unarmoring process? So similar to what you've talked about, nutrition being key, hormone regulation being key, movement, strength training being key, but also this other element of being part of something bigger, more meaningful, this stepping into what we call the warrior guardian phase of life between mother and crone, where it's like, what are the causes? What are the purpose? What's my passions? How are these changing in midlife? And this connection to something bigger, whether it be sisterhood, like we're doing here today, and connecting with each other and helping and serving others, to maybe a more spiritual element, to more of a connection to the earth, to nature, to our cycles, to what's going on as we go through all of that. And that's what I call the unarmoring process.
Isn't it so true that most of us use our strength and our, that, I guess, idea that we need to put on this armor, and we use our strength as the armor, so we think, before the world starts to bury us, right? Like it's so true that we feel that we can use it as an armor, but when it comes down to it, it's actually the thing that's holding us back many times and burying us in the process. That is powerful. And I love what you said there about the spiritual element, because I'm very similar with my my journey, I guess you could say. I started in fitness 30 years ago, and it's only been in the last year I've incorporated the neuroscience part of things. And on a spiritual level, it's definitely incorporated a lot more into my day and my practice. But it's so important to understand that we are a mind, a body, and a soul, and we each have to be, mindful of that. So powerful, Lisa. I know a lot of people are going to reach out to you. Kim, I'm gonna chat with you next a little bit about, we got a couple minutes each more person here, a little bit about yourself and what you're doing for folks these days, and maybe a little bit about our interview and how we talked about that burnout.
I really appreciate this idea of burnout, especially since I work in the sports performance realm. It's easy to say, I got burned out. Playing isn't fun anymore. I can set my cleats aside. I can set my gear in the closet and I can walk away. But what happens when it's caring for a loved one? I'm not going to walk away from my husband who needs me all the time, nonstop, and fights when caregivers come into the space. And the discovery of how we can start to blend what matters most to us, the people, the experiences, the projects, the passions that keep calling us forward, and balance that with the mindset, the energy management, our energy systems like a bank account. How are we adding deposits versus the stress that keeps depleting our system? I find it really interesting that I was thinking about this golfer this weekend who was talking about walking down the fairway and having this battle going on inside of his mind. And it was triggered by something that happened behind him. And it caused him to almost be in tears because it was this inner battle which we've experienced between the different parts of our brain, the side of us that wants to manage, control, have a sense of leadership, competition, thriving, but it's battling the part of us that's scared or upset or unnerved by past triggers. It could be the idea that we have this playful element that we know is naturally part of us, and yet we're not giving it the space to be in the conversation. And that's, as Lisa mentioned, that spiritual element, the part of us that knows we're part of the whole, a drop in this sea of spirituality and cannot be disconnected from it. So it's interesting when you start to incorporate these different areas of the brain, how we think, how it helps to manage our energy and make decisions. We can step up and be there for those we love. We can delegate the things that aren't important anymore. We can reprioritize without shame or guilt or fear, and really be inspired for what's calling us most in life. Because I think many times this idea of motivation, that's an actual energy drain. That's pushing in a way that's depleting us, not adding to us. And so if we can fine tune and have the awareness of navigating what that inspiration looks like moment by moment with our whole brain, then we can really stay in love with ourselves, those that are around us, and our life as a whole.
That's powerful, Kim, because there are so many people that get wrapped up in that pressure of feeling, why aren't I motivated? Why can't I do this? I watch all these people do this. They're in the midlife as well. They're doing all the things, but it comes down to motivation and the pressure that you put on yourself to be motivated in itself is going to hold you back. So yeah, no, that's powerful. You and I are going to have a great interview in the comeback season podcast too coming up. So I'm really excited for our listeners to hear about that as well. Thank you very much, Kim. We are having a little bit of a technical difficulty. Chazia, can you hear now?
I can hear you.
You can hear now. Okay, wonderful. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to let you take the floor because I know you have a lot to talk about with burnout with what you do as well, my friend.
Yeah, so I feel like when you get to menopause, it's not just physical exhaustion, it's mental exhaustion. It's all those years of taking care of everybody else and all the, stuff we do, and we forget about ourselves. And then we carry so much baggage with us to menopause, right? Like we have these bags and bags of stuff and it's ours. It's like all these people that, betrayed us and all these hurts and traumas, and we bring it all with us. And I feel like menopause should be like a portal that we can just walk through and just leave all that stuff behind, because we don't want to carry it with us. We don't want it to deplete our energy, and we just want to leave it behind and look to this new chapter with renewed energy and renewed purpose. And we've done our work, right? Like we've raised our kids, we've done the work. It's our time. And I feel like menopause can be this beautiful time where you rediscover yourself and reignite your magic and, connect with yourself. And, what if the best chapter of your life hasn't even happened yet? What if the woman that you were always meant to be is waiting on the other side of menopause for you? So I have this hopeful, forward-thinking view, and I'm excited about the rest of my life. And one of the things that really helped me, which I am now a certified facilitator with, is called RIM. It's Regenerating Images in Memory. And this technique is so effective in helping you get into that stuck energy and resolve it and regenerate it into better new memories, because a lot of our burnout and lack of energy is because of the stagnant energy that's stuck in our bodies from all the stuff that's happened to us in our lives. And I feel like every RIM session just helps you peel off one of those layers and just unblocks a little bit more joy And when you finally get rid of all that stuff, it takes away the charge from it. So, something might have happened to you when you were young, but it's still affecting you because there's a charge associated with it. But when you resolve it, then it's just something that happened to you, but there's no charge. It's just like, oh yeah, that happened, but it's not affecting you today. So I think learning how to really heal and resolve a lot of those things that are like, everybody has trauma, some kind of like things that have happened. And, so that's really important to change your mindset. And then just reevaluating your life, what relationships are not working anymore, what friendships are not working anymore. Just what is not working for you in your life anymore. Edit, and walk through this portal and just leave it all behind. So
You just brought up such an important thing, Shazia, is the edit. And it's
Yeah.
what I've recently done. And it has to be, you have to be authentically you and put the emotions and the feelings aside, what is serving me, and not to be selfish in life. But at this stage in life, you need to do that edit. Family, friends, who's holding you back, who is out for your good and who is not. Because if you think that the burnout and the lack of motivation and that stress levels are not coming from the people that are draining your energy, boy, oh boy, there's some big learnings ahead. And the trauma, like this is something that's finally coming out. We all have trauma. Every single one of us have trauma because there's, every parent on planet Earth has given a child trauma in some way because we're all imperfect adult human beings. So that's, but we all have something to work through. And I'm so glad the conversation is becoming more comfortable now that people do feel that, an understanding of this happened to me in my past. Now, how is it showing up for me today? Not to be the victim, but just to understand that, hey, this is showing up. This is a trigger of mine. Let's get curious. And when you start getting curious, man, that's when the magic happens. It really does. Thank you so much, Shazia. You are a wealth of knowledge. And I did some of your RIM sessions and they were incredible. And it actually started me on a healing journey and I don't even think I've told you this yet, to be honest with you, Shazia, but it did. It definitely started my healing journey. So if there's any listeners on here that are stuck, period, in anything, Shazia's method definitely works well. Oh, hello, Maka. I hope I pronounced that right. Thank you for listening. All right, next up, Anita. I'm going to take it away with you now. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about your business and yourself? And then how does burnout and lack of motivation, how does that hit home to your clients?
Yes, so my name is Anita Sparks, and I've been a licensed clinical therapist for over 30 years. I can't believe I'm even saying that. Yes, I've worked the whole span from domestic violence to children's sexual assault to homelessness to autism. And now, as I have gone through that whole cycle of perimenopause, menopause, that is awesome, divorce, infertility, you name it. I work with women in transition, primarily who have suffered some sort of trauma. So I think it was like the perfect lead in because, a lot of times I get people that the doctors don't know how to help them and they say go to a therapist. So we take a look at every single aspect here that you guys have talked about, whether it's the health, the nutrition, the hormones, the spirituality, and we really create a plan. So, I have focused on individual therapy. I'm branching out into VIP days because I really don't believe you can't get to be in your 50s and do a weekly session and automatically get better, right? Like it needs to be a whole healing plan. So I do VIP days. And then I've also started doing workshops that we talk about inner child work. We talk about attachment styles because sometimes we keep repeating these same patterns. So I teach people how to change those patterns. And then also what I found, women just want connection too, right? So I've been doing some in-person, which people are like craving that, in-person fun classes where we talk about how to build dreams and we talk about how to nurture your heart. And really that is my key thing that I focus on is how do we nurture this part of our heart and our soul. And that does address the childhood wounds, the unhealthy lifestyle habits, and then how do we move forward? Because I don't like people to get stuck, right? And then we come up with a holistic approach to heal. And it's really just it's a beautiful way to kind of go into the second half of life. I call it reigniting some of the old things and reinventing your identity, because you're not the same person you were before. And on my website, it's beautifullifeinstitute.net, I do have a little giveaway, and it's called Nurturing Your Heart. And there's a lot of prompts on there that talks about, how do I take care of myself without obligation to others, without feeling the chains of duty and heaviness to please all the friends and the family that don't reciprocate. So really, that's about reestablishing your own identity. And it really
That's awesome.
works. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Anita.
great.
You just proved something that, that each, every one of us coaches are coaches because we've been through the shit. And that's going to lead me into our next expert. But Anita, my friend, you've coached it all by the sounds of it. And I think that's incredible that you have that well-rounded expertise for people. So I really hope our listeners reach out to you, my friend. Raylin, you are next up from Shit to Sunshine. Let's go, my friend.
All righty. Well, I'm Raylin Van Ort, and as you can tell, I am the hope hooker, lady. I am an author, speaker, and hope hooker. And my memoir is From Shit to Sunshine, because I walked through all sorts of trauma from occult and abuse, et cetera, et cetera. Like what Shazia was talking about is exactly what I walked through, as far as, because we think about burnout, it's not from doing too much, it's from carrying too much. And that's exactly what I did. I had so much pain, so much trauma. And so the emotional energy that it took to carry that just robbed me of any kind of emotion at all. And so I had to begin to work on that, so all of this unprocessed emotion, it was hidden energy leaks. It's like those things are leaking away the energy. And I had to work really hard at releasing, like resentment, shame, just all of the crap, the shit from my past. And so, because that's what emotional baggage is. It's resentment, it's guilt, it's unspoken things that are hidden in our hearts. And so when we need to do it is we name it, and then we need to release it. That's the most important thing. If we don't name it, how do we know what to do? And secondly, it's that mental overload. It's overthinking. It's decision fatigue. It's what if I did this? What if I should have done that? I shouldn't, should. All of this stuff. My daughter used to tell me, quit shoulding yourself, Mom. It's like, so I quit shoulding myself. So I just, no, I won't go there. So anyway, but clarity creates energy. That's what once we get all the shit cleared out from our brain, then we get to go into the sunshine, right? That's where we gain the light in our life. And so what I encourage people is spot the drain, clear the shit, shift the story, and choose light and joy. Because remember, joy, it's a fuel. This is your superpower. So, and most times we ignore that as a tool, but it isn't the reward of things in life. It's the fuel to get us to the sunshine. So the one last thing I want you to remember is you don't need more discipline. You need less weight, you need less shit, and you need more sunshine. So that's the thing from the Hope Hooker. So
I want to amen. We got a bit of that. Or
the what?
Can you just mute for a second?
Yes, I can.
Shazia, do you mind as well? Oh, sorry, we have an echo there. Raylin, your laugh is infectious. I was waiting for that laugh. I knew the echo was coming, though. My goodness. And it's so powerful because you have it right, like bang on. Preach it, sister. Like it comes down to what are you choosing to let in your life? And yes, of course, it's biological. And yes, we're up against all these things. But man, it is a choice in what you let in. So thank you, Raylin. That was amazing. Brenda Lees, second to last, my friend. Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what motivation and then burnout means to your clients.
Yes, so I'm Brenda Lees Acosta. I work with entrepreneurs who can create results but can't seem to sustain or surpass them, right? So one of the things I have noticed, and I've noticed this with a lot of women hitting their 40s, is that when the 40s hit, it's like we want to reinvent our lives, and a lot of us want to build businesses. We either want to build an additional income, or we want to reinvent ourselves and like throw that career that we've been working for years, throw it out the window and recreate a new career for us, right? So what happens is when you do that transition, then who you are as you're doing that transition is super important. And a lot of what I have noticed is a lot of women come in with the motivation, they're very excited, they launch their businesses, and yes, the businesses are successful, and then they hit a revenue ceiling. And no matter how much strategy they apply, no matter how many courses they take, no matter what level of funnels they plant into their business, they stay stuck at the same level. And what's interesting is that from the outside, a lot of coaches would say, oh, that's a strategy problem. You need, and in some cases, I don't disagree. There could be a strategy problem. However, most of the time it's not. It's because if it were a strategy, they would have already broken through it, right? So what's actually happening is that their nervous system can't hold more. So they push harder, they rely on more motivation, they look for that external motivation, they increase their efforts. And that's exactly what creates burnout. So not because they're doing it wrong, but because they're trying to expand who they are without upgrading the part of them that has to hold that expansion, right? So one of the things I work with people is what are the words that we're saying and how we use the words, and if the words that we're saying, our subconscious mind actually believes in them. And that's where affirmations, which is what I speak of in the summit, that's where affirmations can actually, for a lot of people, don't work as they're building their business and they're really wanting to get to the next level. And that's where I introduce the concept of quantum commands, which actually speak to your subconscious mind and allows you to drive that change home where it belongs, in that inner computer that we all have. And that's me in a nutshell.
You just said something so powerful. And that basically, in a nutshell, is your brain is always listening. And if we don't start tapping into that subconscious, and if we think that our past doesn't dictate our future in some capacity, we need to understand that it does. And what are that default mode network from our past? It's listening, right? And it shapes what we think today and what we act like today. So every word that comes out of your mouth, every thought in your head, your brain is listening and is basically using it for your next action. And that is a choice right there. So thank you very much, Brenda Lees. And last but not least, my good friend, Irina Portnova. Tell everyone a little bit about yourself and how motivation and the lack of burnout has affected your clients.
Yay. Thank you so much for that. So I'm Irina Portnova. I'm a manifestation star. What I do, I help business owners and coaches and healers to manifest their cash and client flow. And I love to do it because if we talk about how do we actually help our clients, and I can totally relate to what Ryling was saying. Joy is the answer because, again, it's all the shift of our perception. So, for instance, like we know as well as business owners that it's not always sunshine, right? There are the times when we feel drained and exhausted because we try so many things and people do not want to engage. We might not fill out our rooms with on the webinar, right? And that can become stressful and frustrated. And again, when we are stressful and frustrated, what happens? We are just draining our energy. And that's exactly the moment where we can choose. Either we give our power away to all the facts and circumstances, or we stay and ask ourselves, what is in this moment that I can do differently to feel differently, right? And that's why I invite all my clients to have that, 10 items list of things that give them more energy. Because to each one its own. Like for me, I would take massage anytime. So that's exactly what puts me back in, right, into that beautiful space. If I'm just at home, I would just put the music on and I would just dance and jump, and it's becoming very good for me, right? So again, if we have that, I call it emergency 10 items list, where we can know how to regain that energy for ourselves. For somebody, it could be meditation, or just, like maybe even a nap. Like a lot of times we are looking for these, extravagant tools, but the simple tools are the easiest and the most effective, right? And again, this is what I was talking on the interview. It's all about being in collaborations. When we are talking about business, what is the best way to come out of that burnout is to be collaborating with others, because together we are superpower. And stay in the community of like-minded people, because when we come together and mastermind, that's exactly where we are in that beautiful energy of doing, reminding ourselves, why do we do what we are doing? And that's exactly what gives us more energy, because when we love what we are doing, that's when we are fueled with more energy and love.
You just said something so true, and that is community and the importance of it. And this is why you and I both met each other in a mentor program. We ourselves get coached, and the power of community and the fact that it has been with the people I have met in these communities that have got me through my personal life in the last year and a bit, because it's like-minded people. And when you do life with like-minded people, it serves you so much more. I'm not saying your current friends and family don't love you, but if they're not on that same playing field as you, they're not going to be lifting you up and motivating you to keep going. So that is so important for all of us. So community, the reason that we started this, the Comeback Season Summit, is a perfect start to a community. If you haven't got involved yet, it's not too late. Sign up. The link will be in everybody's bio on the lives. And I'm going to be releasing all the videos again on April 11th and 12th. So even if you get them at the end, you can pick and choose the ones you want. Reach out to me when you sign up. Let me know what you're looking for. I'll tell you the exact speakers to watch and who would be best for you, because someone here is for everybody. I know that that is so true. All right. Well, I think we wrapped up a great day of burnout, 37 minutes in. Thank you so much to our listeners. But I do want to tell everybody, on Friday, our last live, we're going to have a little competition. If you're listening right now, and I know that there are many of you out there, because I get messages from you, I want to encourage you to just say a comment on while we're talking, because we're going to put you in a draw and you are going to win an incredible prize. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You'll tell you on Friday. But if you've been listening to these lives, comment on Friday and there'll be something special for you on the other end. Are we ready for our dance party, Irina?
Woo-hoo! Yes, we are. 3, 2, 1.
When life knocks you down and the road feels long, you're finding your strength.